Hello, hello, beautiful souls. How are you today? For those of you who don't know, I'm Ashley Watson. I'm a psychotherapist turned spiritual life coach. I have been in this field for like 10 years, which is just bananas to me because I don't think I'm that old. And if you like this video, give me some hearts, give me some love, let me know where you guys are tuning in from, because I think one of the most amazing things that I think about like Facebook and Facebook Lives and like these group coaching programs and things that I do is that like we're able to like tune in and connect with people like all over the world like at once, which is like blows my mind. So tell me where you're tuning in from. Tell me like a little bit about why you decided to join today. Like, do you really want to know the answer of why you are not getting what you want? And, you know, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to have a vulnerable share. I got some vulnerable hair going on. I'm getting my hair cut tomorrow. So I didn't want to like blow my hair out all pretty because they're just going to like wash it tomorrow anyway. If you know what I'm talking about, like, give me some love. You don't want to do your hair right before you're going to get it cut, right? And if you guys have any thoughts about whether or not I should really chop it, like a little bit, or like a little bit like this, or like a little bit like this, like let me know. I'd love to know your thoughts because I'm a little bit torn. But anyway, I'm so excited for this topic. I'm thinking it might be a little bit controversial, and probably people, generally speaking, like don't see this side of me when I'm on the Facebook Live, because I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable. I'm going to tell you what's up. I'm going to tell you why you're not getting what you want. I'm going to tell you like how to start getting what you want, how to start getting into the flow. And I'm so excited about this. See, Marissa says, I'm listening through Bluetooth while driving, so I won't be hearting on Facebook hands-free, but I'll be hearting in my heart. Okay. Marissa, don't heart, like drive safely. We don't want you to get a ticket. You're kind of, yeah. So, well, actually, it's not like gross. I did wash it yesterday, but I didn't want to like do it. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause you have to do it. Anyway, so I was having a conversation with a client of mine yesterday. So this is why you are not getting what you want. I was having a conversation with a client yesterday, and she's really struggling in her relationship and the relationship with her parents. And the reality is for those of you who know, some people know, some people don't know, that I have also struggled a lot in my relationship with my parents. So this is where it's going to get vulnerable for me. And so she's really struggling with her relationship with her parents. And these types of clients tend to be the types of clients that I work with because I really know what the struggle is like. And, you know, fortunately, I have been surrounded by a lot of therapists, coaches, and healers to help me learn and deal with this challenge effectively, so that I have the skills, the tool set, and the know-how from my own personal experience of like how to deal with like a very difficult and dysfunctional relationship with your family. And so anyway, so we're talking about her particular relationship and the particular things that she's going through. And this goes really for all relationships. And so here we go. So oftentimes what happens is, especially when we're in a relationship with somebody that we love, with somebody that we care about, it could be our parents, it could be our siblings, it could be our friends. Like, what happens when we're feeling discomfort from them? Like, all the time, the initial reaction is to go and blame the other person, right? This person did this person did that, this person did blah, 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 this person did blah, blah, blah. I can't believe that they did that to me. How could they possibly even do that to me? Don't they know how special I am? Don't they know how amazing I am? Like, what about all those times that I did blah, 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 and they still have the ability to do this to me? I can't believe it. It's their fault. I'm upset. It's their fault I behave this way. It's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault. And let me just tell you something, I want this to come out the best way possible. So I'm going to be going slowly, and I might have to recalibrate my words as I go to make sure that this comes out the best way I know how. And that is, I don't want to minimize any sort of emotional or physical trauma that you may have had experiences with your family members or with friends or with whatever. Like, I don't want to minimize the impact that they have had. However, when you completely blame them for how you are now, you are taking away your own power. You are taking away your own ability to heal, and you are playing the victim role like super, super badly. And being in the victim role will never, ever, ever allow you to lead a life that you want, because in the victim role, you completely lose touch with your ability to create the reality that you want to. And when you lose that ability to create the reality that you want to, you are going to feel so stuck. You are going to feel so depressed. You are going to feel so anxious and upset and like literally blame the world for your shit. And like when you start blaming the world for your shit, like you have completely given up your power, and that your power is the only thing that you can use to create a life that you want. So, vulnerable share. So about like, I guess it was probably, let's just say 3 years ago, 3 to 4 years ago, maybe 3.5 years ago, like I was in this place. I had these things happen in my family that were incredibly difficult. And like, you know, if you were somebody on the outside looking in, and like, if you're somebody that's in my inner circle and you've heard these stories and you've heard these experiences, like I was very wronged, like by people in my life. Like I was very, very wronged. And the way that people showed up for me was not the way that I dreamed that they would show up for me. It was not the way I expected them to show up for me. And I was effing pissed. Like I was so mad. I was so angry. How could these people do this to me? How could they show up for me this way? Like, this isn't fair. This isn't what I want. This isn't what I expected. And I would blame. And this person made me feel this way, and this person made me feel that way. And where did that get me? That got me to be a complete depressed mess, an absolute nightmare. And I totally turned into this, like in my personal life, I turned into this person that was like so frustrated, upset, and angry at the world that like all this stuff had happened. And what I didn't realize is that like while I was right, and while what I was saying was true, and I had people who saw what happened sort of be able to back me up on it, like it didn't make me happy, and it didn't make me actually live life the way that I wanted to. But so when I started really owning and understanding that, like, if X and Y and Z people, like my happiness, my joy is not dependent on X and Y and Z people acting the way that I want them to. And when my happiness is dependent on them being a certain way, I'm totally giving up my power. So what did I do? I started really owning and taking accountability and responsibility for my actions and my healing. So that in these relationships without these people, like I didn't do it with them. That's the whole crazy thing. Like you don't have to heal your relationships with people, like with people. Like the way that you heal your relationships with people is like by healing yourself. Like, did you hear that? Because that was really, really important. The way that you heal your relationships with people is by healing yourself. And so like once I realized that I was projecting my anger, my frustration, my unhappiness, like I was giving that power of my happiness and like my emotional well-being away. Once I realized that, it was like, oh my God, Ashley, like you gotta wake the F up and like realize like life is actually pretty freaking amazing, right? Like there are things that you can do to feel better. And as you start doing those things, as you start feeling better, like your life becomes exponentially more controllable, and you start being able to attract the things that you want because you are coming from a creative process. Like you are coming from a place where you want to create, not from a place where you want to blame, and not from a place where you feel like everything is being created around you and you have no control. Right? Kiara says, the way you heal your relationships with people is by healing yourself. Yes, girl, yes. I'm so glad you heard me. So like once I started realizing, you know, that once I started realizing that, like, oh, wait, like my happiness, my emotional well-being, like that's my priority. Like, even though like I was right, even though these things happened the way I saw them happen, right? Even though like I had my experience, if I was waiting for X person in my life to apologize, like to be happy, like that's freaking crazy. Like that's crazy. Like we can't control when people are going to take ownership, accountability, and responsibility. And like, let's face it, like some people have had the most amazing families. Some people have had absolute crap families. Like, and I'm not saying that to be mean. Like, I'm just saying that because like, it just is what it is. Like some people have the parents that people dream of, and some people have like the most nightmarish circumstances that are far beyond what we could have ever imagined happen to them, right? And so, and there's anything and everything in between. And the reality is like in our families, in the fabric of our reality, most people are doing the absolute best that they can. Like your parents, like if they could have given you emotionally more support, like they would have done that. If your best friend could have been there for you, like in the way that you wanted, like she would have done that. If your aunt, your uncle, your grandparents, your teachers, right? We sometimes blame teachers, like the teachers called me stupid and so I thought I was stupid or something like, you know, like that, right? If your teachers could have done better, they would have done better. You know, I think what happens is, and this is something that I had to do, and this is something that I guide my clients a lot in doing, because like I said, like I've had this experience. If you're a therapist or a coach, like any experiences that you may have had, like you are going to naturally attract clients who are also struggling with those experiences, because it's just a natural, like you don't even have to tell anybody. It just is what happens. Like, am I right for you coaches out there? Like, I know I'm right. So, you know, what happens is like you have to begin the process, one, by like taking ownership, accountability, and responsibility for your actions, like who you are, what it is that you desire, and like how are you going to make that happen without the conditions of like other people acting a way that you want them to act, right? Like you can't control other people. So like, why are you so focused on them doing what you want them to do so that you can move on in your life? Like that's bullshit. Like it's absolute bullshit. Like I can't move forward in my life until so-and-so apologizes to me. Like, okay, like you're not 3 years old. Like get over yourself. Get over it. Like, and what I mean by get over it, I'm not trying to minimize the pain. What I'm saying is like, get over the fact that you are waiting for them to do something. Like heal the hurt and move on. Heal the hurt without them. Like if you want to maintain, and as you do that, you start to shift your energy so that the relationship itself can have a healthy chance for growth and change. Let's see, Julie says, yes, clean up your side of the street. Yes, this is about cleaning up your side of the street. And then once you clean up your side of the street, then you start to really own and understand like where your energy boundaries are, where theirs are, and where you don't want to mix them up anymore, right? And so as you start to do that, so the first step is really about taking ownership, accountability, and responsibility for your energy, and responsibility for your own actions, your own beliefs, your own emotions, right? Like you can be sad, but like don't blame that on other people, right? And like you can be happy, and like that's not because of other people either. That's because of things that you're doing for you. Right? So here's the deal. So then first what you have to do is really, like I said, take ownership, accountability, and responsibility for how you feel. The next thing you have, without conditions, right? Without like, I'm only going to be happy when I make $1 million. Like that's also crazy. Like I'm only going to be happy when I drive like a Mercedes, like crazy, right? Like you have to start on your happy now, like without any condition. Next thing. You have to grieve the loss of like what it is you thought you were supposed to have, or what it is that you had idealized and it's not that. Like I think that for a lot of people, what happens is they sort of skip that step, and what happens is as they get sort of a little bit further along in their healing process, they realize that they still have a lot of anger and a lot of hurt and a lot of fear and a lot of frustration because they haven't grieved the loss of what they thought they should have had. So like in an ideal world, right, we would all have, you know, I'm talking a lot about family right now because it was something that I was working with a client last night. It's something that in fact, the client last night, like she's just a representation of clients that I work with all the time. And so, yeah. So the client I worked with last night, the vulnerable share that I'm sharing with you now about me and my family, like I really had to grieve the fact that my family didn't act the way that I wanted them to act when I wanted them to act a certain way. Right. And that I expected them to, and how I invested, you know, the years and time into these relationships. And yet, like in this very big moment for me, it came up short. Right. And so you really have to, once you start taking ownership, accountability, and responsibility for your own energy and your own emotions, it's really important that you grieve what you thought, what you lost, or what you thought you lost, or what you never had, or what do you guys know what I mean? You guys know what I'm talking about? Like the grieving part of it is like really, really important, because I think like it's probably, once you take ownership, it's probably one of the hardest parts, because like it's the very beginning of the healing part of the journey, and nobody wants to actually feel like shit, right? Oftentimes the reason why we're blaming people so much is actually because we don't want to feel this pain, right? So we blame people, we blame circumstances, we blame, you know, whatever, teachers, family members, whoever, right? We blame all of these people about why we feel like shit, because we don't actually want to feel the real shit that we're experiencing because of what we believe that they have done to us, right? Kara says, grieving is a major part for me right now. I know, girl. Right? So the grieving part is so, so important. And like, let me tell you, like, as I was doing this grieving part, and some of you know this if you've been following me for a while, but as I was doing this grieving part, like, I was a freaking disaster, like in my personal life. Like, I was an absolute mess, emotional mess. Because it was like a death, like for me personally, it was like a death. And I was so grateful at that time to have like amazing coaches and healers. And I, you know, the thing was about that too, is like I went out and I looked for that, because I knew, like, I'm a therapist. And so like, I know when I need to go. And I actually, at this time, I had been in regular therapy for a long time. But my point is that, but even actually around this time, I actually changed therapists and coaches, because I knew I needed something. I changed from like somebody who was a very traditional therapist and coach to a very traditional therapist to like a spiritual therapist. And that was a very conscious choice, because I wanted to deal with this from a spiritual perspective. And, you know, some people think that spirituality can be sort of like, oh, like, we'll just sunlight and love and like blah, you know, and like not deal with things. Like, that's how some people use spirituality. But for me, like, what I knew is I knew that spirituality would help me understand what I was going through as part of my evolution as like a human and a teacher and a healer and a therapist and the like I knew that what I was going through was going to help me help other people, and I wanted to understand why this was happening to me and how I could learn and how I could grow from it and how I can shift other people's perspectives so that they don't have to like go through the depths of like the shit, or it can be minimized to a certain extent to be able to heal. And so anyway, so my point is with all that, and so around this time, it was messy, it was terrible, it was awful. I was very, very sad. I was very, very depressed. I had these crazy thoughts about wanting to hurt myself, which was not something I really wanted to do, but like, it was just, the pain was so heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching, I don't know, difficult. Like I had never experienced that level of pain. And so, but through that, pain, I was like, all right, like universe, like I need effing help, man. Like I know I don't want to feel like this. I know I don't want to be like this. I know that I have something to offer this world, but like right now, man, I like don't feel like it. Like show me the freaking way. Like show me the way. And so it was around that time that like I was guided to all of these books and all of these other spiritual teachers. And like over time, the more and more I started taking ownership, accountability, and responsibility for my own actions, I really started to see that I could live an unconditional life. And what I mean by like an unconditional life is that my happiness, my joy, my life, my experiences that I would personally have in the world were not going to be conditioned by like, I'm not going to be happy unless I have that car. I'm not going to be happy unless that person apologizes to me. I'm not going to be happy unless I have that job and I do that thing and I go to that place, right? Like I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be, there's no more, I'm going to be happy when. So, so Lisa Brinson said, do you have a starter book you recommend? So the book that really started me on this journey was Spirit Junkie by Gabby Bernstein. And because I know some of my gorgeous friends are in here, and I know that that book was a starter for some of them as well on their spiritual path. So that's one of the books that I recommend. Actually, that's the book I recommend for starter book because it was my starter book. Her book, The Universe Has Your Back, is also really beautiful as well. But to start on your spiritual journey, I find Spirit Junkie to be a little bit better in that way. So as I started on this, journey like of evolution, like I started living this really unconditional life. And as I started living this unconditional life and experiencing what it means, that like my business started to boom, my friendships started to blossom, my relationships started to get better, like money started coming in, like I started feeling better in my body. Like when I was going through all that stuff, like my body was having wackadoodle things happening to it. I think I was releasing and detoxing a lot of emotions like through your body because we store those things in our body, right? So anyway, so I had this so as I started doing it, like things started becoming better. And you know what? Like in my life now, like I don't place blame. Like I might acknowledge things that have happened, but I say like, and this happened, but at the same time, this is not like why I feel this way. Like I feel this way because I have work to do around this. It's not like I try in my best way possible to be very, very conscious, one, about how I talk, because our words have such power. And if we say like, I feel this way because of this person, like we're literally giving away our power to this person. And like what we really need, what do we really need in this world and within ourselves is for us to get our power back inside of us so that we can be freaking awesome, right? Like you giving your power away does not make you awesome, right? It makes you feel completely depleted, depressed, anxious, scared, vulnerable, right? But, and we need to be vulnerable as well, which is why I'm doing this post. And I cannot believe that I'm sharing as much as I'm sharing, to be perfectly honest with you. But I'm doing it because we need to be vulnerable. Well, we need to be like strong in our vulnerability. You know what I mean? Like we need to understand that we're doing and living in this life like unconditionally. So like, I'm not going to wait around for somebody to do something for me to feel better. Like that's ridiculous. Like I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do it myself, right? Like why are we so and I think like the reality is too, is sometimes like, and we don't want to admit it, like, because like, it's kind of shameful, like if we say this out loud, but I think for sometimes and for some people and in some moments too, like we want to be a little bit lazy, right? We want to be taken care of. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that if you are doing the work to live an unconditional life, right? And so it's not about like, if you don't take care of me, then I'm going to be, living a less life. Does that make sense? Let me know if this is resonating with you. So the steps to really owning your stuff is, one, you have to set the intention. You have to take accountability and responsibility for your actions. No more blaming. You hear me? No more blaming. That I feel, you guys see that fly? Like, I am like this because of this person. I am like this because of this circumstance. No. No one gets to own your experience except for you. Yeah, so Brene Brown had amazing talk on vulnerability. 2, we have to grieve the experiences and the relationships that we wish we had or thought we had and didn't have, or the expectations that we wish we would have had. We have to grieve that. And that is, and I think part of the reason why we don't want to take accountability and responsibility is because we don't want to do that work, right? And missing out on that, I think, is a huge does a huge disservice to your overall sense of healing. Like, I don't want to be like, yeah, you have to feel like shit before you heal, but like, you have to work through your shit before you heal. And like, most times, like, sometimes it's not that bad, but a lot of times, like, working through shit can feel shitty until it doesn't anymore, right? It's like going to the gym and like losing weight, like, kind of sucks until like it doesn't anymore. Like, it's the same thing with like emotional shit. Like, it's emotional weight, right? You have to lose emotional weight. Oh, I like this. You have to lose emotional weight and you have to work it out. And so it doesn't always feel good. You're not always going to want to do it, but like, not doing it does a huge disservice for your overall growth and intentions, like, as a human being who wants to have what you want, right? It's like, when working with clients, it's like, and they're stuck in this place of, and like, listen, like, I get being stuck in the place because I was stuck in that place. So like, if they're stuck in this place of not getting what they want and they're not sure why, well, oftentimes it's because you're not dealing with things that you don't want to look at, right? And you're not healing the things that you need to heal because you don't want to look at them, or you're not ready to. And like, not being ready, like, that's okay. Like, that's okay. That's totally fine. I'm not judging you. And like, everything, I also believe that everything happens in divine timing. And so, I have clients, I was just having this conversation a couple of times, and as a therapist anyway, I've had clients that I have worked with for years, and sometimes people are like, yes, I'm ready to change, like, bing, bang, boom, let's go. And sometimes it takes time, like, you know what I mean? And I never know who exactly is going to walk through that door. But sometimes it takes time, and that's totally okay, and that's totally normal. So the first step is really owning your stuff. The second step is really grieving what you thought you had, what you feel like you missed out on, what it is that you wish that you had that you don't have, right? Like, grieving that. And the next step is really, so step 3 would be like asking the universe for support, saying like, dear universe, like, I am so ready to open up to love. I'm so ready to increase my self-worth. I'm so ready to start showing up for myself. Like, show me the way. And like, that's a real time that like, you get to play and like, see how the universe works into and weaves into your experiences. Like, Josh, my husband, that some of you guys know, like, he brought me the book Spirit Junkie. So like, I was in this really depressed place, and I had asked the universe for help, but like, didn't feel like I was getting anywhere. And then like, lo and behold, at some point around that time, like, he brings home the book Spirit Junkie and writes me, is it here? If it was here, I would show you. Actually it is. I'll show you. Hold on one second. So here's a little plug for Josh, because he's the best. So he got me the book Spirit Junkie. So that's and he wrote, Gabby has since signed it, but he wrote this message, and and I've read it. I've actually posted this on Instagram before, but Hero, my beautiful wife, who I believe in with all my heart, the world rejoices in your unfolding and becoming more fully you. What makes me want to cry is reading it. More love always, Josh. And so he got me this book, and I started reading it. I fell in love, and as I fell in love, like the universe literally opened, because the book itself helped start transforming my fear-based reality into a more loving place. And as I started doing that, the world just and the universe just started opening up more and more and more and more for me. And since that time, I have not been blaming anybody for my experiences or my circumstances. And with that, I have totally increased my self-worth, my value, my self-esteem, like how I feel about myself, how I live life, how I go about life. And I am in the process of starting new relationships with the people that have hurt me in the past, because I am in a different place. And I wasn't going to be able to do that when I was living in such a fear-based blaming place, because whenever you're blaming somebody, right, like what's one of the first things that happens is like, you did this to me, and the other person's like, no, I didn't, right? They just immediately become defensive, even if they know they did something. But if you're like, you did this to me and I'm so mad and you made me mad and blah, 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 like if you start like going after somebody, like they're immediately going to be like, whoa, like slow your roll, like I don't know what you're talking about, like I can't do this, right? Like they're immediately going to be defensive, and that you're going to push away exactly what you're looking for, right? And so in the healing processes, as you start taking ownership, accountability, and responsibility, as you start opening up more and more to the universe, as you start doing that, really embracing the forgiveness process, which is like, that's like another Facebook Live for another day. As you start embracing the Facebook process, the forgiveness process, as you start embracing the forgiveness process, like life opens up to you so much more. And like the reality is like, what I know and understand now is like, if people want to blame me for their experience, like that's on them. Like I can't do that. If people want to credit me for their experiences, that's on them too. Like I talk all the time about how like I don't heal people. I bring people back to themselves. Like I facilitate the process of people becoming more fully themselves by just showing them who they are, the truth of who they are, and giving them tools to work through the shit. Like that's what I do. And so if you're interested in something like that, I'll put a link to the discovery call. We can talk about how we can maybe work together. But with that being said, like it's so important for you to live an unconditional life. I think like that's the reality of it. And like if you are living with conditions like I'm not going to be happy when, or I'm not going to be happy until this person, or I'm this person, it's the reason why my life sucks is that it's this person's fault. Like you're going to be miserable. You're going to be unhappy. You're probably going to also be unhealthy, because like when we're unhappy, like what do we do? Like we overeat, we undereat, we choose poor foods. Like you're going to be unhealthy. You're going to have so much more stress in your life. And like, who wants that? Like nobody actually, most people, like probably 98% of the population, like doesn't want to be happy. No, 98% of people don't want to be unhappy or unhealthy or feel unworthy. Right? We want to live a life that like we want to live, that we have dreams about. We want to have these relationships. We want to have these families. We want to have these successful, abundant careers. We want to change people's lives. Like that's like the people who tune in to see me. Like you want to have these things. Like you have to start like owning your shit. Like it's really that simple. Like owning your life. Like own your life. Nobody else's. Nobody else is to blame. Like acknowledge the hurt and like heal it. And move on. And I'm not like I said much earlier and probably multiple times, like I'm not here. I don't want to sound like I'm minimizing the pain. I'm not doing that. But what I want to minimize is the blame, because as you blame, you give away your power. And what I want to do is empower people to know that they have the ability, that regardless of what happened to them, that they can live a life that they want. Like that's what I want for you. And that's what I want to give you. And that's what I want to show you is that in spite of all of your circumstances, you can have a life that you want if you choose to take ownership, accountability, and responsibility for yourself and for your actions. Like I know like I'm probably oversimplifying it to a certain degree, but it also doesn't have to be so complicated. Like who said it had to be so hard? Right? And like, listen, like I have done enough healing for and have been in enough therapy for most people. It's like, and school. Oh my God, the schooling I've done, the mentors I've had, the workshops I've gone to, like we can do this together, and I can give you the shortcuts, and I can help you work through the shit so that you can live the life that you want. And like, we don't have to make it that difficult. And if you're ready, willing, and able to commit to something like this, I would be so thrilled and so honored to have the opportunity to sit with you, to work with you, to chat with you. And if you like, you can go to my my website. It's www.ashleyewatson.com/schedule and schedule a complimentary call with me. And like, let's talk about how we can help you move forward in your life. Like, let's talk about it, and let's like release the fear. Let's release the shame. Let's release the blame, and like start the healing process. So like, you can do you, boo. Like, you can have that relationship. You can buy that house. You can have that successful, abundant career. You can like meet that man or woman, like whatever you're into. It doesn't matter. You know, all love. Katie says she's the best. I think Kate's the best. If anybody is looking for like, honestly, Kate is Kate and I think it's okay because you tell everybody anyway, like we work together. She is one of my I help Kate apparently, but Kate inspires me in so many beautiful, glorious, and incredible ways. And she has a wonderful blog. Kate, I want you to post a blog and has the most incredible story. I mean, want to talk about somebody who has been through hardship and challenges, like go read her story. Like, you will be mind blown. And if you ever have the opportunity to meet her, Kate, I don't know why you're not doing Facebook Lives, but you should. If you ever have the opportunity to meet her, like and hear her story, like, like, you're welcome. Just, you're welcome, because she's incredible. And she's an incredible teacher and healer herself. So thank you, Kate, for saying I'm the best. I think you're pretty awesome as well. And that's what I'm talking about, is that I love what I get to do, because I get to work with the most incredible people and see the most incredible things unfold with my clients. And that brings me the absolute most joy that I have ever dreamed possible. So there's Kate's blog. If you guys are interested, definitely check it out. She has, like I said, the most beautiful, glorious story. And I love you guys so much. If this topic resonates with you, like comment, let me know. If you guys have questions about this or my experience, comment, message me, let me know. Also, don't forget to book a 30-minute free discovery call session with me, where we can talk about how you can start like shifting from place of fear and shame and blame and turn it into something really beautiful and meaningful and purposeful, and live an unconditional life. I love you guys so much. I was actually feeling so tired, but like Facebook Lives like light me up like crazy. So thank you so much for joining me today. You guys are the best. I love you so much. And Satnam. Truth is in my name, truth is identity, and truth is who you are outside of all the love, and outside all of the bullshit experience. So there's so much love and so many miracles waiting for you. So come book a call with me. All right, bye guys. I love you.